remember before I started IB, the first couple of years of college, just discovering the arcade and all the underground comics. It just really.
So that was a big influence on you?
Yeah, oh yeah, I love that stuff.
How old were you when you found this?
Oh, 19, 20.
So how did when did Queen of the Universe take over?
So yeah, what I'd been showing I-Beam to syndicates for a few years at that point. This was the end of the 80s, and let's see, I think there was Texas Monthly Press that put out a couple of my books, and this woman I met, now I have a successful quick career of her own books. Her name is Angela Shelton. But she sort of stepped out to try to be my rep for a while. And she was publicist for me through Texas Monthly Press, and then she was just a go-getter, and she said, well, what else can we do here? And so she put together a package of I-Beam strips that featured Peaches, and sent that to, or I guess I sent it to United Feature. And
Peaches was Ratliff's niece, right?
Yeah. And she was self-appointed Queen of the Universe.
Oh, we didn't talk about Ratliff's room.
Oh yeah, that was a fun one. But anyway, I'll finish this line first. So yeah, United Features said, well, for whatever reason, I-Beam's been around this long, hasn't flown, but we like this new thing we're doing, Queen of the Universe, or about Peaches. And it was funny to me because it was just a subset of I-Beam. They perceived it as this new.
Well, it was like the feminine thing, and that was really catching on.
And so
she was kind of ironic, right? She's cynical, kind of on top of everything.
Yeah, I mean that was the whole gag. That was her way of hiding. Here she was, this little girl. And,
she'd be up a tree, or like in unlikely places, right?
Yeah, yeah. And in the I-Beam incarnation, she had stolen a land craft from an alien. It looked kind of like it was like a staircase, sort of like the staircase you do to get up onto an airplane, but it was kind of a really grand chariot front. So she lorded over anyone she wanted to lord over in that thing.
I remember that one strip you did where it was like an Escher, she was raking leaves. That was that was amazing, It's like, wow, this guy, it's smart. I never saw, I don't see a Schultz guy doing Escher stuff. But,
well, speaking of Schultz and tying in with my collecting the kind of offbeat quotes, including yours I'd like to use, but there was a magazine called Aspiring Cartoonist Magazine, which is great.
Wow, I've never seen that.
But I think they did a piece about me or something. I think they came in. We got an email saying that they talked to Schultz, and Schultz were looking at some.
You're talking about Charles Schultz?
Charles Schultz.
Okay, I was talking Jeff Schultz, but yeah.
Oh, okay. But anyway, they reported that he looked through it, and I'd had some indirect feedback from him through United Feature because we were at the same syndicate. And, my editor would show my Queen of the Universe to him, and he'd have his feedback. And I remember it was a big day when she said there was some dinner, and he said, "Yeah, I didn't like." He wasn't a fan of the Queen of the Universe, but at one point at dinner he said, "I understand what he's trying to do." So she reported to me that was like a big breakthrough. But anyway, later he's talking to and this is after Queen of the Universe was discontinued. But he was talking to the Aspiring Cartoons people, and he was talked about Queen of the Universe. He said, "Yeah, the art is worse than this."
Highest praise. That's great. That's great. I mean, I just like if you would know my name, it would be the greatest.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about how you got into syndication and what that experience was like for you.
Well, so that was the first part when United Feature expressed interest, and so the next step is you work several weeks worth of material, and then now you have an editor, so we kind of push it back. We like this part, we don't like that part. You go in this direction. So I think they wanted a character that showed her nurturing side, and so I showed that her little brother.
I didn't see that.
I sort of learned to escape the editorial feedback by, I learned that if I was on the right schedule and had my work in enough weeks in advance, then it would get a lot of the red line.
No.
I have to go back to the drawing board. But when I got behind on the deadline, it was pretty mistaken to leave it. So I'm afraid that's what I took advantage of that.
Yeah, I've heard that stories and other about other cartoons. So you did that for 2 years?
Yeah.
So I guess a lot paid better. Huh?
Well, yeah, it was really, I don't know how to, I don't know exactly what happened, but it just didn't fly. It was,
I think a lot of people don't realize that cartooning is really hard work.
Uh-huh.
And you think it's all glamour, and you have this idea that you're in newspapers and make a lot of money.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with James Childress and his strip Conchi?
I think I've seen that.
In the early 70s. He did great stuff. I mean, like, he was one of the early people doing it. I just think that's where he was first, but then he was doing top. He couldn't make it go, but he could make money. Yes, that. But, it's common in newspapers and strips, so you think that, it used to be the goal.
You syndicate there.
Yeah, everything's changed. I guess the newspaper, comics strips were a part with the newspaper.
Well, there was a time that, I was in a number of newspapers and 2 newspaper panels, and several of those became 1 newspaper. In every case, I was in the wrong newspaper.
I wanted to ask you about your favorite cartoon.
Oh, yeah.
Did you ever read that strip? Do you have any thoughts on that?
I think it's one of those.
It had a big cast, it was like a big cast.
And, interesting character design. They were real extreme, real simple, which I admire cartoonists that boil the characters in just a few lines. I also love Coco's Baroque cartooning with lots of extra detail as well.
I mean, everything has its purpose. Get kind of boring if everything was not random.
Right.
But talk about some other strips or comic books that you like.
Let's see. Well, I have a story that back to the syndication that involves other comic strips, which was I got called by the Free Press. We're going to start running Queenie the Universe, and so we did a little piece about it. So a quick phone interview, and so I did a little interview. And I said, which strip am I replacing? I said, well, it's not like we're replacing one strip. No, they were shuffling around, we're getting rid of some, we're getting some new ones. I said, okay, I'm going to be in a certain spice, right? Yeah. Well, what was in that particular spot? Dick Tracy. So, has Dick Tracy been in that paper for a long time? Well, yeah, since it was founded.
This is a deception.
Yeah, this is the home newspaper when it originated. So I was like really concerned and worried about that. And,
Ted Gould was long gone by then, right?
Yeah.
So,
But anyway, what happened was, it turned out, of course, whenever a newspaper does that, there's the old time base that they want whatever they lose from old strips. But it turned out there's no problem with Dick Tracy, but the fans, Brenda Starr, were up in arms, and within a week, Peaches was gone and Brenda Starr was back. So I thought it was kind of funny. More funny as time goes by. Brenda Starr kicks Peaches' ass.
Dale Messick, she drew it till she died, right? And then her friend did it, So I always had, it's like, I guess it's a matter of taste, but it's very, they're very consistent, because like a lot of strips got bad. What was that?
Listen to your woman, but not closely.